Good morning. Hi, how are you? So many people here. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I am Maribel Rodriguez, reporter and anchor for CBS 4 here in Miami. I am also a very proud Miami-Dade College alumni, so I am happy to be back here on my stomping grounds this morning. My goodness, how the campus has grown. I got lost on my way in here. So you all you students, faculty, you should be very proud to be here because it is an absolutely amazing college, all the things that go on like this event here this morning. So on behalf of the Women's History Month Committee, welcome to Miami-Dade College campus, and thank you so much for joining us at this Domestic Violence Awareness Workshop. As the committee discussed topics for this year's event, they found that students were really interested in learning more about sexual violence, as there are numerous misconceptions about domestic abuse and little knowledge on the issue. The committee reached out, of course, to Robin McGraw and invited her here to the Kendall campus to speak with our faculty, community leaders, and future educators regarding this topic. Robin, of course, will share her Aspire curriculum with us after we hear from local subject matter experts like Dr. Sean Schwanner. Yes. And Jennifer Valapi. But to begin the day, I would like to introduce a woman you all know, Dr. Vicki Owls. She is the Dean of Students, to share some highlights of Miami-Dade College and provide a profile of our student population. Dr. Vicki Owls has been serving college students and the educational community for over 25 years. She's an amazing woman. I had the honor of meeting her backstage. She is passionate about helping students overcome obstacles and assisting all students on their educational and life journey. Currently, she serves as the Dean of Students here at the Kendall campus. Please, a warm Miami-Dade College welcome to Dr. Vicki Owls.
Good morning. Good morning. We can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Excellent. Good morning, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, and Ms. Robin McGraw. I'm Dr. Vicki Owls, and it is my pleasure to serve as the Dean of Students. I would like to welcome all of you to the Kendall campus on behalf of Dr. Lourdes Arosa, the president of our campus. She'll be joining us shortly. However, she wanted to officially welcome you to this important event. We are so fortunate to have Ms. McGraw with us today to speak about this difficult topic of domestic violence and abuse. I would like to also thank the members of the Women's History Month Committee, chaired by Ms. Sue Georgie and Ms. Deborah Mello, for choosing this topic to be discussed. The theme of Women's History Month is weaving the stories of women's lives. I thought about this theme for a while, and when we think about weaving, we think about fabric and its complexities. We can draw many analogies to our own lives. The true strength of fabric is only as strong as the threads that hold it together. It only becomes weak when the threads start to go bare or have no other support. The strength in our fabric at Miami-Dade College is our community. We live and work in Miami, which is not impervious to issues both good and bad that affect our community and our students. Our campus is no different. We are a microcosm of this society. Let me tell you a little bit about our college and our students. And some of you may know this, but for our guests, I would like to share some information about the diversity of our students. For more than 50 years, Miami-Dade College has been changing lives through the opportunity of education. From its outstanding degrees and highly skilled faculty to its cultural initiatives and community outreach, MDC offers an exceptional learning environment and unique international perspectives that prepare its students for success in a dynamic world. Miami-Dade College has the largest undergraduate enrollment of any U.S. college or university with more than 165,000 students and the largest Hispanic student enrollment. 7 out of 10 Miami-Dade County public high school students who graduate, attend colleges and universities in Florida, choose MDC. Last year, MDC's graduating class included nearly 15,000 students who received Associates in Arts, Associates in Science, and bachelor's degrees, as well as certificates and specialized workforce training. MDC confers more associate degrees than any other college in the country and is ranked #1 nationally for degrees awarded to Hispanics and African Americans. MDC students represent over 185 countries and speak 94 different languages. More than half of our students are first in their families to attend college. Our athletic teams have won 34 National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association national titles. We're very proud of our athletes. MDC takes pride in the personal attention given to students with an average student-faculty ratio of 25-1. Our students have an opportunity to really get to know our faculty and fellow students. And lastly, from early childhood education to nursing to supply chain management, Miami-Dade College ranges over 300 pathways to degree offer unprecedented educational and workforce opportunity. So now back to fabric. Our strength lies in our support systems that we have in place. The threads that we weave together as a campus community are how we support our students on this academic journey. As a Dean of Students, it's my job to provide and encourage our campus community to create a safe atmosphere for our students. This is a difficult issue, and it is our job as educators to be informed and to be able to provide resources and support our students. At the college, we take a proactive and preventative approach on the issues of violence and sexual assault by providing programs on awareness, prevention, and training like this one today. I would like to thank Ms. McGraw for her work with her organization When Georgia Smiled and her willingness to spend time with us today so that we too can be threads of support for our students. Thank you.
Dean Alves, thank you very much. Well, as many of you know, Miami-Dade College is what is known as a commuter college, which means the students are actually part of Miami-Dade community and when they are not on campus. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sean Schwanner from the School of Justice to unmask sexual abuse in Miami-Dade County. Dr. Schwanner earned his bachelor's degrees in sociology anthropology at Denison University and his doctorate in sociology at The Ohio State University. Sean has earned several significant teaching awards for his student-centered and an innovative approach and has had an extensive career in community building initiatives. He designed, launched, and implemented significant economic development and crime reduction programs in Columbus, Ohio, and Louisville, Kentucky. In 1999, he earned the Distinguished Citizens Award for the creation of the Operation Restore program. That's a joint effort with the Louisville Police Department. Today, Dr. Schwanner is an assistant professor here at the college. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Schwanner.
All hands on deck. All hands on deck. All hands on deck. For some of you who have heard that saying before, that is a saying that is delivered by the Marines. And when I was invited to come up here today, I decided I was going to dedicate this to my best friend, a Marine. A person who, if you saw him in real life, you see a strong man. You see a man who has muscles on top of his muscles. You see a person who was recruited to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers in Major League Baseball. But what you wouldn't have seen was my best friend who was raped by his brother. And when he was done, his brother invited his best friends in, and they took turns with my friend. And when you see people in front of you, sometimes you think you know what you see, but you really don't. When you see the program with my name on it, you see doctor. What you see is a category. And when we see categories of people, we make assumptions about people that somehow we know who they are. But we really don't. When you see a white male wearing a suit with a tie on, yes, Ohio State Buckeye tie. When you see that, you make assumptions about my background. But what you can't see is that I was raised by an African-American family until I was 10 years old. I was raised by a woman named Mama Green who grew up as a sharecropper in Arkansas. A woman who was sexually abused by her stepfather, Mr. Dank. You don't see the person that grew up on the east side of Toledo who grew up in one of the most violent neighborhoods in that particular city. You don't see a person who had to step through blood on the way to the school bus because someone had been murdered on my stop the day before. You don't see that. You don't see the poverty that my mother and I had to endure when I grew up. What you see is a category, and we make assumptions based upon categories. When my friend Booney was assaulted, I learned something. I learned that we learn how to wear a mask every day. We all have this thing called an authentic self. Irving Goffman makes the argument as a phenomenologist that we all have a self that's inside of us. But when we step on a stage, we wear what is called a virtual mask, and we perform so that life becomes a performance. What you see behind me is a video that was shot by one of Miami-Dade College's students, a student in my victimology class. He is a videographer, and as part of his final exam, and he found out I was presenting today, he wanted to do this video. Let me give you some statistics. Statistically, the rate of sexual assault has gone down in the United States since the year 1998. It has dropped from 5 per 1,000 to 2 per 1,000. However, we know that once in every 6.6 minutes, another woman is raped. We know that. We know that on college campuses nationwide, 20% of the students on a college campus have either been victimized or attempted to victimize. We know off of college campuses, 32% of the same age group have been victimized. We also know for a fact, and this is where numbers start to tell a story, we know for a fact that 80% of those persons who are sexually assaulted by someone they know. We teach kids, don't take candy from a stranger, but the person that's more likely to abuse them is the person that we lock them up with when we lock the door at night to keep the strangers out. And we take a look at it. 80% of those cases go unreported. And watch this. 80% of those cases had no weapon. Now I ask you, how does sexual assault take place without a weapon? Why is 80% not reported? It is very simple. It is very simple. People wear a mask. And when they wear that mask, they create this system called trust and affection. And they write from these scripts that you can trust me, you can love me. And they lull people in and give a false sense of security, and then what do? When I was 12 years old, my mother's best friend, or my mother's boyfriend, thought I was more attractive than she was. I had a girl at school that liked me and a girl in my neighborhood. And when I had the love bites all over my neck, the girl in my neighborhood said, "I thought you wanted to be a pro baseball player." I said, "I do, and I will." I didn't, broke my leg later. Then I went off to school, and a girl that liked me there, she said, "I thought you just wanted to be a pro baseball player." So I said, "Well, there's a girl at home." And then the girl at home, I said, "There's a girl at school." And ended up, I learned how to put the mask on to cover. I learned how to hide that identity. I learned how to put forth the public face from the private place. Today, I have brought to you something special. We all have a place of pain. And I have opened up the temple of pain. Because when I was a kid, Mama Green taught me, never let someone leave your home hungry. Today I feed you. She said, never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. In other words, she's saying you have to wear a mask because not everybody's ready for you to be raised in an African-American family. Phenomenologists say that we are shaped today by the accumulation of all events that took place in our lives. And it brings us to this moment. And as teachers, we have the ability to change one another's lives. This right here is a man who couldn't read in the 4th grade. This man right here, he is a man who had to bring his mother out of a crack house in 7th and 8th grade.
But I survived.
He grew up in a place of poverty.
But I survived.
He was shot less than a year ago in the chest.
But I survived.
At the age of 7, had an uncle who tried to sexually abuse him.
But I survived.
If you take a look at him, he had aspirations of playing for Florida State, 6'4", 380 pounds. This is the videographer that created this video, and this is a student who will be graduating from Miami-Dade College within the next year. This is a symbol of what we do at this institution. Corey is representation that opportunity changes everything. This is the reason why you stand up for persons like Corey. This is the reason why Dr. Padron says that we may be, for some people, the last bastion. Corey represents everything that we do. And having walked a similar path, Corey and I have realized that there are solutions to the issues that we address. And today, oh my goodness, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for what's coming next. Because I don't know about any of you. Any of you ever hear of Prince, the singer? Any of you ever hear of Prince? Yeah, give it up for him, okay? Yeah, thank you very much. All right. In 1996, I went to a Prince concert in Philadelphia, and he ended his show in a particular way. Today, we're going to show you how we can address issues of sexual abuse and other forms of violence. Corey?
Follow along with me. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom,
Thomas.
boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Lewis.
Boom, 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 boom.
Jonathan, where are you?
Boom, 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 boom.
Hit the chest, man.
Boom,
Hit
boom,
that
boom,
beat.
boom. Boom, 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 boom.
There we go, come on.
Boom, boom,
Where are you,
boom,
Jonathan?
boom. Boom, boom,
Hit
boom,
it.
boom.
Make it funky.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Down here. Stretch your
Boom,
feet.
boom,
In this
boom,
lower
boom.
back.
Boom, boom,
Lower
boom,
section.
boom.
Stop them. Let's hear them.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Up top.
Boom, boom, boom,
Up
boom.
hands up top.
Boom, boom, boom,
There you
boom.
go. Come on now.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Keep the feet going.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Go back, Corey.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Each one of these sections is a unique one. This is one section. This is the second. And this is the third. I want you to repeat after me. You ready for this? Oh, it's going to get funky. You ready? Here we go. All right. Can you do that? That's not funky. Let's do this. Okay, ready? That's good. Okay, let's do this again. Here we go. Nice. Now we're getting funky. This is Miami after all, okay? Here we go. Stop me. Yeah. Now you're going to say, I feel all right. Ready? Here we go. I feel all right. Got it? I feel all right. Keep those hands going. I feel all right. Now we're going to change it. All hands on deck. Got it? Let's go. All hands on deck. Let's do this. Oh, yeah, that's funk. That's Miami funk right there. Let's do it one more time. Here we go. Ready, go? All hands on deck. Ah. Oh. That was funky. That was funky. Now, for those of you who don't know what you just saw, what you saw was the difference between vision and no vision. When you see the world in front of you from a different lens than others, you see the world of possibility. And when I walk into this auditorium, I see the possibility of creating great music together. The issue is can we create a structure? And if we can create a structure, then from that structure will emerge a sense of community. And once you develop a sense of community, you can change and revolutionize the world in which you live. The aspiration, Robin McGraw's aspiration program is an example of that. If you can see something different, you have the possibility of change. This morning, ever since I walked on this campus, people keep talking about my Buckeye tie, my Ohio State Buckeye tie. Let me tell you about this Buckeye tie. As an abused child, as a person who was molested on several occasions, Booney and I only had one place to go. 12 weeks a year for 3 hours, Booney and I had the opportunity to sit back and watch Ohio State Buckeye football. It was a place where we could belong to a community that was bigger than us. Our problem sometimes is that we get too tied up in the bureaucracy and the rules and the regulations, and we would rather mark him down a few points for being 15 minutes late, or we purge him from the system 3 times after being absent 3 times in a row, rather than extending our hands and saying, Corey, what can we do? What is going on? Is there another possibility? Teachers change the world. And if you extend to change my world, if it wasn't for 5 teachers, I wouldn't be here today. You have the opportunity to extend your hand, and if you do, you can change the destiny of history. We thank you very much. And together, Corey and I would just like to say, Thank you all.
What a surprise. Corey, unbelievable. Thank you so much for being so brave, Dr. Schwanner. Thank you so much. What an inspiration. Well, the circumstances you described impact many young lives, and we appreciated your presentation. One champion in our community that recognized the need to support our mentor, our youth, is our next presenter, Jennifer Volpe. Ms. Volpe is a multi-Emmy award-winning TV journalist and award-winning author and social entrepreneur who has been recognized 7 times on the floor of the United States Congress and is a recipient of former Florida Governor Jeb Bush's Points of Light Award. That is the highest honor here in Florida. She is also the president and founder of the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program, a unique mentoring organization that is considered a model for the nation. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer Volpe to discuss issues that impact the success of female students. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Volpe.
Where are you, Dr. Sean? That was brilliant. That was brilliant. And before I get into my presentation, I just want to follow up a little bit on your presentation. I'm going to sing for you now. No, no chance, believe me, trust me. But many years ago when I was a young reporter, I had done a series of work at a facility, a detention facility for young men who had all raped or sexually molested other children. They were all teenagers. There were 15 of them, as I recall, and all but one of them had been raped or sexually abused themselves. And so powerful was their pain that I remember I was extremely struck by the fact that they could tell me all about what they did to the other people, but they couldn't tell me what had been done to themselves. And I couldn't help but sit there and think, this horrible cycle of violence and abuse has begun, and we need to figure out ways to stop the cycle. And that's where my focus has been. But I want to start with a really simple statement. Woman without her man is nothing. Let me say it again. Woman without her man is nothing. Woman without her man is nothing. Can someone tell me what you heard? Someone in the audience, you heard something, right? Someone in the front row, stand up and tell me what you heard.
I heard something I disagreed with.
Please tell me what you heard, say it.
Women are nothing without someone else.
You heard, woman without her man is nothing. Did anybody else hear something different? Tell me.
Women without her, man is nothing.
There you go. Woman without her, man is nothing. There's no right or wrong answer there. Why I like that statement is because it's much like life. It's all about where you choose to put your emphasis and where you choose to put your punctuation, okay? I read you a statement without punctuation. I have chosen in my life recently, starting in about 1997, to put my focus on helping at-risk young girls live up to their full potential. I was here anchoring the news at NBC6 in Miami. I had just come from New York, and I had come with my then general manager, Don Brown. And I asked Don, I had this idea for a show that was built on a lot of research that I was familiar with on women and adolescents, and I wanted to form it into a program, and I asked him to throw the weight of the television station behind it. He did, and together we created the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program back in 1997. Now, why did I do that? Well, I did that because I truly believe if you really want to stop the cycles of violence, poverty, and abuse, you start with the young women who will raise the next generation, and it all stops here. They become educated, they live better lives, they make better choices, they raise better children. I really believe it all stops here. It's proved to be a very powerful model, but it started in 1997 in a formal way, but it actually started when I was back here in college, sitting in a room not unlike this one. I was actually at Oakland University in Michigan. I was a psych major, and I was taking a course in psychology of women. And one day I was sitting there, and the research was clear. The real problem with equality between men and women was not so much that men felt that women were inferior. The problem was that women agreed. And what was worse than that is that women who made it to the top liked being the only ones there and didn't do anything to help other young women along. That was something that troubled me throughout a almost 30-year career in television, and I spent a lot of time mentoring a lot of young women and a lot of young men in the business. But I truly believe that if we're ever going to achieve full equality as women, if women are ever going to make it to the next level, we are going to do so by supporting each other in a way that we are not doing it today, by supporting each other tremendously as a sisterhood, and by taking each other and helping each other along to the next level. Today, the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program mentors 3,600 girls, 3,600 at-risk young girls in South Florida, Detroit, Philadelphia, and soon-to-be Charlotte, North Carolina. It is a life-changing program. We had one of our big fundraisers just about a week or so ago, and I put together this video to show you, to show our group a little bit about what Women of Tomorrow means, but I also want to share it with you because it will show you what can happen when women support other women. Since 1997, the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program has been helping thousands of at-risk girls in our public high schools turn their lives around and live up to their full potential.
Digging out the box from where I stay.
I seriously can't express how much Women of Tomorrow has helped because I would have no future right now.
That's just how I feel.
Women of Tomorrow graduate Natalie Mora house sits people's dogs while attending college. Natalie's working hard to fulfill her dreams, but the future wasn't always something she looked forward to.
My brother started his drug problems and my family started falling apart, to me not even caring anymore about school. To me, I had no future. And then one of my friends got me into Women of Tomorrow.
My prediction.
And this scholarship goes to Natalie Mora from Miami, Palmetto.
What does the scholarship mean to you?
Oh, so much, because not only am I the first one to graduate at his school, but maybe the first one to go to college. I'm so sorry. I'm so speechless. This is so great. It really is.
Abused and abandoned by both of her parents, John Kenya Amoros Castro has been dreaming of going to college since 5th grade. And now she is.
Women of Tomorrow showed me that I could get over my past. I don't have to let the abuse get to me.
South Florida Women of Tomorrow graduate Candace Samuel is a student at the University of Pennsylvania. She's being interviewed here by Philadelphia television reporter and Women of Tomorrow mentor Stephanie Stahl. They're talking about her experience interning in Washington, D.C.
I want to be a part of that history that's being made.
Women of Tomorrow put you on a tremendous path.
I must say, I didn't think, I did not see myself walking into, the Capitol when I was 8 years old.
Our secret is simple. Dedicated, committed, professional women sharing the benefit of their experience with groups of girls in a unique program in partnership with public school systems. They meet only once a month, but their influence is designed to last a lifetime. Women of Tomorrow mentees have a 95% high school graduation rate. That's substantially higher than the national graduation average of 75% for all girls, and way above the even lower graduation rates for girls of color and those with risk factors. When enrolled in Women of Tomorrow, their grades go up every year they're in the program, and the vast majority go on to higher education. Miami Beach High senior Belen Mella just got into Harvard.
It's an opportunity to connect with people who understand some of the things you've been through, and at the same time, people from who you can learn because they've been through completely different
but albeit also sort of trying situations.
According to a University of Columbia study, every person who graduates from high school is worth $200,000 in saved government spending and increased taxes paid. That's roughly 100 times what it costs to put a girl through 4 years of the Women of Tomorrow program, or 20 times what it costs to sponsor an entire Women of Tomorrow group at $10,000 per school per year. No matter how you look at it, that's a heck of a return on investment.
Women of Tomorrow is such a big miracle, like it really is. And it's amazing how you can go from feeling like you're nothing in this world to actually feeling like you're someone.
That's just how I feel. Trying to reach the place that I can't see.
Our girls, our mentees, face many challenges, including abuse, foster care, homelessness, everything in between. They are here at Miami-Dade College. Do we have any Women of Tomorrow girls in the audience? Do we have? No? Oh, okay. I know they're here at Miami-Dade community. They're here at Miami-Dade College. They're at Harvard. They're at Yale. They're everywhere in between. We live in a country where you can come from anywhere, you can be anyone, and you can do anything you want in the world. It takes inspiration, effort, and it takes education. And I want to just talk about education for a second, because for centuries, people have been using education to control the masses. The powers that be, this goes back to Egyptian times, the powers that be know that an uneducated public is easily controllable. And even today, there are places in the world where women still today cannot be educated. You've all heard about Malala, right? You're all familiar with her story? A young woman shot in the face by the Taliban. She survived, but shot in the face by the Taliban. Why? What was she saying that was so frightening to them? What had she done that was such a great threat that they wanted to kill her? She was advocating education for young women. That's all she was doing. Why is education so powerful? Because education is knowledge. Knowledge is power. You all think you're here today getting an education. I think you're here claiming your power. And that's what we need to do as women and as young people. So for years, especially when I was in college, I resisted this concept, but I have come to believe in my older age that women do in fact think differently than men. One of the most important things is that women learn through relationships. Men learn through doing. People always ask me, when are you going to do Men of Tomorrow? And it's not like I wouldn't like to do Men of Tomorrow or Leaders of Tomorrow, but I would have to change the program because women really do learn through relationships. That's why I think athletic programs are so successful for men. But not only women do learn through the relationships, we're actually able to reduce stress by building relationships. It was part of a pretty much landmark UCLA study a few years ago where the amount of oxytocin in the brain increased to such a level with women when they were bonding with each other that their stress levels were reduced. There's a specific critical mass where women begin to support each other, and I think this is pretty important. It's usually where a third of a population of any group becomes female. So if it's a third of the lawyers in a law firm, it's a third of the executives. At that point, women really begin to support women at a much higher level, and hopefully that's the direction we're continuing to head in. Think about Congress right now. 20% of Congress and the Senate are women. They don't even talk to each other, okay? It would be nice if that started, right? Well, maybe if we could hit that 33.33% of women in Congress and the Senate, maybe we'd have little better relations between the groups. So in the meantime, what do we do while we wait for that to happen? Well, when I was in New York, I used to have a show. I was doing the news there, but I also had a show called Money, Power, and Influence. So as you can imagine, I spent a lot of time hanging around with a lot of people with money, power, and influence. And it was interesting because I had an opportunity to observe the things that made people successful. And there are a few specific things that are thoughts of mine that I want to share with you. It takes just as much energy to achieve a big dream as it does to a small one. So you might as well think big. Everyone has obstacles, placed in their path. And in fact, I will say that nothing great has ever been achieved by anyone who did not go through a particularly difficult time, because great things are done because you experience a problem, you understand the problem, and you figure out how to fix it. Success is about turning obstacles into opportunities. Don't focus on the problems in your life, because we all have them. Focus on where you're going. I have a friend who's a race car driver, and one of the things he said is when they teach you how to drive a race car, the first thing they teach you is do not look at the wall, because if you look at the wall, you're going into it. Look at where you're going. Keep your eye focused on your path. You've all heard Gandhi's quote, I'm sure, be the change you want to see in the world. Have you heard that? That's such a wonderful sentiment. But I want to also tell you, be the person today that you want to become tomorrow. If you want to be a smart, wise, savvy professional, start acting like that person today. Don't wait until you get to that level. Be that person today. Anybody here want to be president? No? Oh, God. No wonder there's only 20% of the women in Congress. Nobody wants to do anything, right? Well, how about president of a company? How's that? Would anybody like to run their own business, be president of a company? Okay. Boy, I'll never ask that question again. My point was that don't forget all those dumb tweets and crazy Facebook posts and silly Instagram photos that you're posting now will follow you through any election. They will follow you through any business. They will follow you through your professional life. So please remember that every step you take takes you one step closer to your future. So please choose wisely. Most of all, you need to find something that you love to do in life, because if you find something you love to do in life, you will never work a day. That's an old saying, but it's so true. And I want to just tell you a quick personal story. So I was in college, a psych major, going to law school when I got into television. And I had finished college in like 2.5 years. I'd gone all springs and all summers, and I was anxious to be a professional. And then I needed to take a little bit of time off between undergrad and grad school. And during that time, I wanted to do something fun and a little bit different. And so I wanted to be a writer. I was living in the suburbs of Detroit, and I went to all the Detroit newspapers, and I applied for a job as a writer, and they all pretty much looked at me and said, really? You know, like, you have no experience and you have no chance. I had done a television commercial when I was in college just to make a little bit of extra money, so then I said, well, maybe I'll be a television reporter for fun in between. And everyone laughed at me. I didn't know anyone who even knew anyone who was in television. And even my mother, who tended to believe in me, thought I was ridiculous and said, get over it already. So I put together a tape, I sent it out to about 100 television stations all across the country and got absolutely nothing. And then there was this man by the name of Jerry Jensen in Flint, Michigan, and he actually agreed to speak to me. It was the CBS affiliate, it was Channel 25, and most of you are too young to know that Channel 25 in the pre-cable days meant very few people could see you, and you had to have these antennas on your television with like these rabbit ear kind of things or a bow tie, or else sometimes you just take tin foil and wrap it around the antenna. So it was not exactly the highest rated station in the market. But Jerry said he would talk to me, so I drove out to see him twice in a snowstorm. He finally said, it took me like 3 hours to get there, it was a 70-mile drive. He said, I can't hire you to be a reporter, you just, I like you, but you really just don't have the skills. However, I do need a weathercaster. Would you be interested in auditioning? So I said, sure, so I auditioned for the weathercaster job, and he said, I'll get back to you, let me think about it. So I went home, and I can remember, I still to this moment can remember laying on the floor of my apartment, the phone next to me. I had no food in the refrigerator. My rent was coming up. I was going to have to take a job. I had had another job offer, but it really was not what I wanted to do. But I was going to have to pay my rent. And then all of a sudden, the phone rang. It was Jerry Jensen. Jerry said, I have good news and I have bad news. I said, what's that? He said, the good news is you've got the job. I screamed. He said, wait, the bad news is I can pay you $180 a week. I said, that's okay, I'll do it for free. And he stopped. He stopped and he thought about it. As over the years in television, I thought about that conversation many times. Believe me, negotiating contracts. He stopped and he thought about it, and then he said, "No, finally, I'll pay you $180 a week to do the 6 and the 11 o'clock weather." Well, I was the happiest person on the planet. In all the years that I've been a professional, I've done some pretty cool things. I've gotten some pretty cool accolades. I've won a few awards. Nothing compares to that feeling that when everybody tells you you can't do something and then suddenly you do. For all the people who will tell you you can't do what you want to do in life, it only takes one person to tell you you can. And it's done. If there's anything I wish for everyone in this audience, for all of you, I wish you that feeling that you do what everyone else says you can't do. Because once you have that feeling, it's a game changer. Your life will forever be different because now you know you truly can do anything. It is a feeling of empowerment so great that for me, anytime I feel bad about myself, and I always tell everybody else the same thing, you're feeling bad about yourself, get out there and do something for someone else. It'll put your whole life in perspective, but it will also empower you. And finally, I just want to say, I like to quote Margaret Mead, the world-famous anthropologist, because to me she said something very profound, and I'll just paraphrase it. But please don't think that small groups of like-minded people cannot change the world. Historically, it is the only way it's ever been done. We look to you as our future to change the world. Get out there, be fabulous, and thank you all very much. Okay, will I get down here?
Fabulous shoes, are you kidding me? Gorgeous. Jennifer, thank you, you're amazing. And something else that I would like to add to that, I love when I hear the word women, because there was a saying that I heard, and I'm not gonna give myself credit for it because I did not come up with this and I have no idea who did, but it's brilliant. For all you young ladies out there, keep in mind that girls compete with each other and women empower each other. And that's what we have to do. We have to stick together and we have to help each other out, because that's the only way we're gonna make it. We could be our worst enemies, absolutely. So Jennifer, again, thank you so much. And now it is my honor to introduce an incredible woman, philanthropist, entrepreneur, television personality, and two-time #1 New York Times best-selling author. She is committed to her mission to inspire women to live better lives. A daily presence on the Dr. Phil Show since its inception, viewers worldwide have embraced Robin McGraw's contributions to the show. Robin has worked for many years with a variety of philanthropic causes that serve to improve the lives of women and children. She is a founding board member of the Dr. Phil Foundation, a national spokesperson for CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates for Children, and she is also a member of the American Red Cross National Celebrity Cabinet. In 2014, Robin was named the National Celebrity Spokesperson for the Girl Scouts of the USA. With the launch of her own charitable foundation, When Georgia Smiled, Robin set out to enact real change by creating and advancing programs that help victims of domestic violence and sexual assault live healthy, safe, and joy-filled lives. The foundation launched in October of 2013 with the induction of its inaugural program, the Aspire Initiative, a domestic violence program which aims to reduce the level of intimate relationship violence in the U.S. and instill the importance of bystander responsibility. In February of 2014, Robin proudly announced the launch of Robin McGraw Revelation, a purpose-driven lifestyle brand that brings to live her unique life philosophy of self-care. The brand debuted with record-breaking success with a collection of skincare products and has already expanded to include fragrance, lip gloss, of course, we can't live without, and candles, among other lifestyle products. Robin McGraw Revelation supports When Georgia Smiled by donating 100% of the net profits from select products of the foundation. Robin is a highly sought-after public speaker whose notable appearances include being featured a speaker at Oprah Winfrey's OU event in 2012 and a year-long tour as headliner for the Women of Faith presentations. Robin has been featured multiple times on broadcast programs, including The Oprah Winfrey Show, The View, Today, The Early Show, Entertainment Tonight, and The Late Show with David Letterman. Robin's first book, Inside My Heart, Choosing to Live with Passion and Purpose, debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, a spot Robin claimed again with the release of What's Age Gotta Do With It. Robin and Dr. Phil, who she fondly refers to as Philip, have been married for 38 years. That deserves a round of applause. They have raised 2 boys, Jay Phillip and Jordan Stevens. Robin continues to make her family, which now includes daughter-in-law Erica and 2 grandchildren, Avery Elizabeth and London Phillip, the priority of her life. Please join me in welcoming, and let's stand up for this because it is a true honor to have her here on campus, Robin McGraw.
Recently, my wife Robin announced the first program from her new foundation, When Georgia Smiled, the Robin McGraw Revelation Foundation.
The first program, When Georgia Smiled, is introducing is called the Aspire Initiative. It is a very exciting, interactive program designed to stop domestic violence.
We learned a lot about relationships, dating, how to know if you're in a toxic or an abusive relationship.
What are the different types of abuse in a relationship?
Thank you, Robin. The Aspire curriculum has already saved many lives in my school.
Robin is really proud of this new app for your smartphone called Aspire.
It's a major development in domestic violence safety.
100% of the net proceeds from Robin's lip gloss line are being donated to When Georgia Smiled, which will directly help women and children who are victims of domestic violence.
I also am launching a candle line, and it's called Light of My Life.
I think it's important to mention that 100% of the net proceeds from her candle collection go to support domestic violence prevention programs through When Georgia Smiled.
Robin recently had the privilege of visiting Laura's house. They allowed our cameras to take a never-before-seen look inside of their women's shelter.
She lies.
You don't deserve me.
Robin, how'd she do?
Oh, she just did a beautiful job. I teared up. I was just so proud of you.
Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's essential.
We just want to give a special thank you to Verizon for partnering with her foundation, When Georgia Smiled.
Knockout Abuse has led the charge to support women and children victims of domestic violence.
Please join me in welcoming our 2014 honoree, Mrs. Robin McGraw.
What an unbelievable honor it is to receive this award.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you very, very much. It is a real honor. I thought this day would never get here. I've said that a couple of times already, but it is such an honor to be here. So, thank you very much for having me. I would first like to take a moment to thank Kendall Campus President Dr. Lourdes Oroza, and also Dean of Students Dr. Vicki Owls, Dr. Sean Schwainer of the School of Justice, and Jennifer Valapi, President and founder of Women of Tomorrow, for lending your voices to this important dialogue. And a very special thank you to Maribel Rodriguez for joining us today. We really very much appreciate the support of our local Dr. Phil affiliate for the show here. As the largest commuter college in the nation, The Miami-Dade college student population represents 185 countries and 94 different languages. More than half of Miami-Dade college students are the first in their families to attend college. This clearly is a population ready to embrace change and redefine their futures, and Miami-Dade is a learning institution that has stepped up to that challenge, providing not only excellence in education, but a firm commitment to community. The very fact that we are all here today in the service of the most important topic is evidence of the collective and conscious commitment that defines this college. To say that I'm proud to be here and get the opportunity to talk about the silent epidemic of domestic and intimate partner violence would be a huge understatement. Along with a lot of other very committed people, agencies, and groups in America, I am committed to breaking that silence that allows so many to be victimized in our society. And being here today is an important part of the mission to help end that suffering and become a part of a much-needed solution to a very long ignored problem. Breaking the silence about this ugly truth in our society is a great passion of mine, but it takes more than passion. To make a real sustained difference, I knew I had to also create and claim a platform from which to speak loud and very long. I knew if I wanted to have an impact, I had to also create a meaningful plan to get the message to the people that need it the very most. I knew I had to create and disseminate usable and understandable tools, and above all, never miss an opportunity to make a call to action to those who are fortunate enough to not be paralyzed by the fear and isolation of abuse, to reach out and help those who are. A call to action in which each and every one of us is willing to say to those that are trapped, if you feel threatened, if you feel alone, if you are being hurt, if you and your children feel as though you are lost in the dark with no hope of escape, we are coming for you. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. We are here, and we are here to help. Big words, right? So how do I and how do we make good on that promise? Well, we each may answer that in a different way. For me, it begins with conversations like this one today. I love, in fact, I live for the opportunity to speak to a group like yours, because all of you here in this audience are powerful influencers, powerful thought provokers, and attitude shapers. And all of those young and some not so young men and women that are going to be a part of what lies ahead for this society. The When Georgia Smiled Foundation, headed by our amazing president, Mickey Woodard, and the passionate team at Robin McGraw Revelation, feel like we have become an integral part of the dialogue, the battle to prevent violence in those relationships disguised as loving in nature, but actually hurtful in reality. My first mentor was my mother, Georgia. She taught me the strength of a woman. And it was in her honor that I named my foundation When Georgia Smiled. Her smile was infectious, as was her approach to life. Though she never experienced abuse herself, she taught her children, my sisters, my brother, myself, always to respect themselves and those that we love. She taught us all to protect anyone who may not have the love and support they needed. And sadly, we didn't have to look very far to find those in need, and neither do you. Every 15 seconds, a woman in America is being abused. That means at least 20 women since I started talking have been hurt or worse. 1 in 4 women will fall victim to abuse before they reach the young age of 25, and the Center of Disease and Control and Prevention labeled it an American epidemic. Yet it's the most underreported phenomenon in our society. For so long, abuse has been something secret and shameful. I have sat in the audience for every taping of nearly 2,500 episodes of the Dr. Phil Show, and I have been most touched by the guests who are courageous enough to share their own experiences of domestic violence in an effort to help others. Witnessing the incredible strength of these women and men moved me to take action and dedicate the next chapter of my life to this cause. So I am here to invite each and every one of you to join me in taking action. And here's how. We worked long and hard analyzing all the resources and gaps in resources available, and it became clear that we wanted to start at the most basic level, both content-wise and age-wise. The result is what we proudly call the Aspire Initiative, and within it, the Aspire News app. The Aspire Initiative is an exciting, interactive educational program designed to help stop domestic violence that is available completely free of charge at whengeorgiasmiled.org. The program is designed for 3 specific age groups, each with its own custom curriculum: tweens, teens and young adults, and adults, and is also available in Spanish. It's also important to mention here that the reason we customized a curriculum for teens and tweens is that we are rolling this into a program into schools across the country, and the idea is to get these boys before they start the abuse, and to get these girls before they get into relationships so they recognize what's okay and what's not okay. Sadly, many children grow up in an abusive atmosphere, and they are raised to think the behavior is normal. And so the cycle then just continues as they grow older. Our goal is to prevent behavior before it begins, as well as to stop whatever habits may already have begun, and offer safe exit strategies and resources for those in need. This program can be done individually in the privacy of your own home, or it can be facilitated by an instructor like a school teacher, a guidance counselor, or a youth education director in a church. This curriculum is filled with engaging interactive content such as quizzes that test your knowledge on the difference between love and abuse. It also teaches you how to recognize the excuses abusers give to you in relationships to keep you in those relationships. The curriculum includes video from real people with shocking stories of abuse and stories of survival that will grab your attention, as well as and this is only a fraction of the wonderful content offered. I'm actually going to walk you through some of the content now.
I got the eye of the tiger, the fighter, dancing through the fire, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
I do want to take this opportunity to thank Katy Perry and point out that she was wonderful enough to loan us that song. She gave us that song to help us with this curriculum, and I think that's wonderful. Everyone's always trying to help, and that's usually not something they would do, so love that song, and we thought the kids would love it too. Okay, so the curriculum's engaging domestic violence educational materials are divided into 3 sections, as you can see here on the homepage. The first section, What's the Deal on Abuse, provides tools to define and identify abusive behavior in relationships. It seems that the public perception of what constitutes abuse is still black and blue marks and repeated trips to the emergency room. This is not really the case. I'm not going to go over every single form of abuse that can take, but I do think it's important to highlight a couple of extremely common forms of abuse that seem to take people by surprise. In my Aspire initiative, this section is presented as an interactive quiz. Now let's go over a few of the examples. Okay, so your significant other wants you to spend all of your free time with them, even asking you that you skip family events. Is this love or abuse? Of course, this is abuse. Isolation is the #1 tool used to control the relationship. And then here's another. The person you are dating calls to say hi, but you can't talk at the moment, and it goes to voicemail. Instead of blowing your phone up, they wait for you to call back. Is this love or abuse? This is love. In this example, the partner is just checking in and still respecting your boundaries by not calling you numerous times. These are just 2 examples of the scenarios presented in this quiz. The many forms of abuse addressed in this section are more common than we'd like to admit. Psychological manipulation and emotional pressure rob people of respect and self-worth. Unfortunately, people, especially teens and young people, often mistake these forms of abuse as an expression of love or concern. That couldn't be more wrong. And this section of the Aspire initiative makes users aware that abuse comes in many forms. The second section, Stop It Before It Starts, is focused on prevention, warning signs, and the importance of bystander responsibility. Miami-Dade College and all of its campuses is a community. Being a commuter school, students are coming from their own various domestic situations. They aren't together in a dorm every evening and forced to reveal their living habits and communication tendencies. This makes it even more important that we arm members of this community with knowledge. It is often up to friends, colleagues, and family members to stand up for victims. With the Aspire initiative, we hope to raise awareness, not just for victims, but for everyone. I'd like to share a clip from what we call the abuser's playbook. Listen to some of the excuses the abusers give their victims.
I was just joking.
It's not like I hit you or anything. I was having a bad day. It won't happen again.
I didn't mean to hurt you.
You deserved it.
It didn't happen like that.
You're just as bad as me.
It's your fault. If you would just do what I ask, I wouldn't have to hit you.
You know what sets me off. You got me upset.
I'll bet some of you have heard some of the lines we just listened to. And I want you to take a moment and think about something. Think about someone you know or have known who has been in a relationship that you just didn't feel right. You just didn't think something was right about that. Maybe her husband was constantly asking where she was, or maybe he just never wanted her to hang out with her own friends without him. Maybe he constantly accused her of cheating, flirting, or dressing in a suggestive way. Okay, now, did you think that that was abuse or just obsession? Did you pass that off as just his personality? Probably. That's a problem. For some reason, people are often under the impression that other people's relationships are none of their business. When it comes to abuse, it's everyone's business. With the Aspire initiative, we hope that by educating our young people, we can get them to pay attention to their friends' relationships and step in if abuse is happening. The final section, Take Action, discusses the excuses victims may give for staying in an abusive relationship and the cycle of violence. Let's take a look.
It was my fault. I got him mad. He apologized and promised that it wouldn't happen again.
It doesn't happen all the time.
I know he loves me, and I love him.
We have a lot of great times together.
Nobody else wants me.
I don't have anywhere to go.
I don't want to leave because of the children.
I don't have a job.
I don't have enough money.
I'm afraid he'll kill me.
If you are in an abusive relationship, it is never too late to get out. But removing yourself safely is the most important thing. The problem is, many times people stay in an unhealthy relationship because they are in a vicious cycle of fighting and making up. fighting and making up. It's called the cycle of violence.
The cycle of violence begins with the tension building stage, which leads to an abusive incident, after which there's making up and a period of calm before the tension begins building again. Perhaps most importantly, this section covers safe exit strategies. The most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is often when the victim tries to leave. In fact, 70% of domestic abuse occurs after the victim attempts to exit. This is a phenomenon experts refer to as separation assault. We want to be sure that victims are able to get out and stay out safely. Here you'll see some of the important steps that should be taken. And this brings me to the Aspire News app, our breakthrough smartphone app designed to provide tools for those escaping abusive relationships. This app is the first of its kind and a major development in domestic violence safety. You'll see that we actually have the icon blurred here because we don't want to make abusers aware of what to look for. With this app, you can send a pre-typed or a pre-recorded audio message to multiple trusted, pre-selected contacts, even 911, saying that you are in trouble. Once you press the go button, your phone will also start recording audio of everything that is going on in the room, so you have actual audio evidence of threats or abuse. When using the app, it's important to leave on your phone's location service because many of the functions in this app will need it, including locating the nearest shelters. The app also provides articles on domestic violence and other tools readily available to you at all times, including the Aspire curriculum. Despite all of these features, Aspire News is designed to appear like any other news app to the untrained eye, allowing it to be downloaded and used in secret. The user can customize the homepage by choosing one of the 12 different news feeds options, including Yahoo, CNN, Huffington Post, Univision, or L'Opinion. The Aspire News app provides an invaluable, unmatched resource to provide safety to those who find themselves in danger. And did I mention this news page is current news? So if your abuser picks it up and looks at this app, it's current. So he or she just thinks it's a current news page. Aspire News is completely free and available for download in the iTunes Store through Google Play and at whengeorgiasmiled.org. The app has had nearly 250,000 downloads around the world, including the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia Pacific, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East and India. I'm proud to share that it was recognized on Capitol Hill by the National Health Collaborative on Violence and Abuse as one of the 2 apps in 2014 most effective in the fight to end domestic violence. Thank you. Since launching with the Aspire Initiative and the Aspire News app, my foundation, When Georgia Smiled, has had the privilege of working with many esteemed partners. In October 2014, we partnered with Verizon to host a Day to Connect, Inspire, and Heal Domestic Violence Summit, where pioneers in the field of domestic violence prevention could collaborate and discuss ways to raise awareness on the silent epidemic in our country that is so full of domestic violence, sadly. Live streamed, it had participants come from 10 countries on 5 different continents: the United States, Canada, Bolivia, Australia, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Norway, South Africa, and New Zealand. That same month, we had the opportunity to bring attention to the problem of sexual assault on university campuses across the country. Statistics show that 1 in 5 women will experience sexual assault during her college experience. That is unacceptable. So in partnership with Participant Media's television network Pivot and Students of the World, we launched the I Aspire Campus Challenge. Students from participating campuses nationwide were invited to share how they aspire to end sexual violence on their campuses by a safer college experience. By working to create a safer college experience for themselves and their fellow students. Grants were awarded to individuals who were doing extraordinary work on their campuses to provide support services to victims, as well as working ardently to prevent future incidents of sexual assault. The leadership of each of the young men and women who applied for the challenge is an inspiration to us all. I am also excited to have launched the I Aspire for Her campaign, which addresses another important area of focus for When Georgia Smiled, the role men play in preventing domestic violence and sexual assault. Excuse me. Our I Aspire for Her campaign works with men across the country, particularly well-known athletes, given their capacity to serve as role models on a large scale, to raise awareness and build momentum in the fight to stop sexual assault. All of us on the When Georgia Smiled team have the passion, and we have developed very specific tools for fighting the epidemics of domestic violence and sexual assault. Arming yourself with knowledge will only make you better educators and better enable you to help members of this community who may need assistance. Making this curriculum and app available to the student population within the learning environment will only encourage its use. Classroom discussions and group support meetings will encourage and facilitate awareness amongst both young women and men. It also may empower them with esteem and encourage them to share this information with those outside the Miami-Dade community, which in turn could save many lives that could be lost to abuse. John F. Kennedy once said, "The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining." In other words, we can't wait until something awful happens to prepare for the worst. Domestic abuse is a sensitive subject. Women are ashamed or hesitant sometimes to discuss what is happening in their personal lives. But guess what? I'm pushy, and I'm asking you to be as well. Get involved before someone gets hurt. Stop these girls from losing self-esteem, from being victimized and scared. Help me empower them and arm them with information. And maybe they too will pass on that knowledge and help someone else. My mother, Georgia, made sure I did two things every single day. The first thing she made sure was that I thanked God for my blessings, and I continue to do that. The other thing she had me do was to do something for someone else, big or small. Just do it. I think of her every single time I speak. And I hope that even if I reach one person in every crowd, that one person is saved from abuse. And that person can grow and contribute to society, and then maybe they will reach one person. I ask each one of you to help me today to reach your students and your faculty and staff. Make the Aspire initiative part of your educational process. Encourage discussions and help find ways for the members of your community to feel safe and confident. Thank you so much for having me here today. God bless.
Whoa, thank you, Robin, so much. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for visiting our campus, for the honor of your presence. And now, immediately following the workshop, we invite you all to join us for a meet and greet with Robin McGraw. Also, it'll be taking place directly outside to your left. Other speakers will also be at hand. Thank you again for joining us. Hopefully, you will take something with you today, and you're a better person leaving the door. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.